All right. Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm going to try to get my class up and tell you a little bit about what I teach. I'm actually new again to MCC. I taught here part-time off and on for about 9 years, and then I went to Iowa Western for 6 years full-time, and that's where I started using Canvas, and I'm back full-time now here. So I started here in the fall. So I guess I've been working on my Canvas shells since then. They are imperfect. So if you have ideas, I would love to hear them. I feel like I'm always trying to make them more organized for students so that they know what to expect. I teach psychology, and I thought what I would do is just walk you through how I've set up my class. There are some things about it that I'm really proud of, and I know there's other areas that need some work. So just to give you a sense of my home page here, I always try to post announcements so students know where we are in the class. I do link my syllabus right here, as well as the course description. And I try to, be accessible and make sure students know how to contact me. I also put together some links. I'm not sure all of these are the most helpful links here, but I tried to give students an easy way to access some areas. If I go to modules, I start off with just general information. And this area of the class is one of the areas I think might be too much information all at once, but I tried to break it up in just kind of a course overview and a little bit of information about me, as well as information about our ebook, the library center, as well as resources to write in APA style, since that's one of our objectives. And then an area for makeup work, so students hopefully can find it. So I'll just give you a peek here. I tried to just explain how the course works and to kind of walk students through what's available to them as far as learning goes, attending the class and reading the chapters. I've linked videos, but the videos I think are an area where I need to probably reduce some of the videos and really highlight the videos I think are most important. And then I try to provide access to their PowerPoint notes, study guides, practice quizzes. So with this overview here, they have a sense of the different requirements and such. So I'll just pull you through. I give a little information about myself and how to contact me. And then I won't take you through each page, but since we use an online textbook, I tried to link resources for students as far as how to use the textbook and how to troubleshoot problems that might arise. And so if I go back to modules here, let's see. I will show you how I link the videos. If I go back to my Start Here module, I tried to link Wiley support for those students who'd rather get in touch with the publisher and chat online. But I also tried to include the 800 number for those students who really maybe feel like they can work best on the telephone, getting technical support, and just some general troubleshooting for the textbook. They actually access the textbook over here. but I've tried to streamline the resources to kind of help them as they get started. And so I have a mock paper, just a brief shell of a paper that I wrote as an example to kind of get them started with their own psychology paper that they write for this class. And then I have some linked sources and databases. So I've linked them to the library as well as the American Psychological Association and other sources that might be helpful, the CDC and such. And I have a link here, of course, to the Writing Center, to online tutoring. And then just resources for APA. So I've linked, for example, the Purdue OWL, the writing lab, so that hopefully they can have some easy access to resources for APA format. Okay. And then in class, we do class activities where students earn points for exploring different concepts. Intro to Psychology, I think, is a lot of fun because there are some really cool activities you can do with memory and with cognitive development. So we try to do some hands-on things to illustrate concepts during class, and students earn points for being involved and reflecting on the activity. But students sometimes miss for a variety of reasons. And so when they miss, they can come here and submit a makeup activity to earn back those points if they want to do that. And so what I decided to do is there's a link to Films on Demand, one of the streaming services at the library. And so essentially, I have students watch a brief video clip on the topic that we're covering, and then write a summary of the clip and what they got from it in order to earn back the points. With COVID and with all kinds of life demands, I figure sometimes students need to miss, and so this gives them an option to explore the concepts we're studying, even if they're not there. So with this, there may be a better way to do it, but I have students, they can always come to this one place to submit makeup activities so that they know where it is and how to do it. All right. Let's see if I can get us back to modules. Okay, so that's really kind of my start here. And then after that, what I tried to do is I tried to set up all of my modules the same way so that once students got used to the way a module's laid out, maybe that would help them with the next module and the next module because they're all set up similarly. So I try to tell them which chapters we're covering, and I try to give them an overview of what this module will be like. So we go through 6 modules in this particular class. And so I just kind of walk them through how they can explore and learn the different activities that they can be engaged in, as well as what's expected for completion for this module. And then I also try to list out the objectives that we're covering so they have a sense of how we're moving through the course and how we're covering the different content. So after I give them, oops, I didn't mean to hit that one. I'll go back. After they read through their Module 1 requirements, then they can go straight to a study guide. And there may be a better way to do this, but I have Microsoft Word documents uploaded, and I just go through the chapter. Intro to Psych has a lot of information. And so what I try to do is point out concepts that they should be familiar with for the test. And so for every module, you know, they have their study guide here. I try to give them a physical copy in class, but I also try to link it here in case they lose theirs. All right, so I'm gonna go back to modules. I think this is a harder way to look. All right, so back to module 1. So after the module 1 requirements here, and then the study guide, then I go through the chapters. And I provide the PowerPoint notes. So they have those in case they'd rather listen in class. They have the notes that I use. And then I link videos related to that chapter. Some of these were shared with me from other faculty and some I've added myself. And so this, I feel like I need to clean up. So some of them are links to textbook videos. Some are linked to YouTube. I have linked videos to our streaming services too, but one area I've struggled with is that when I tried to link, for example, films on demand videos inside of my Canvas class, I was able to link them and I could see the embedded video, which is what I wanted. But when I left and then came back into Canvas, you had to log back into the library site. It wasn't as though the embedded videos stayed visible when I came back into the class. So I guess I've struggled with how to keep those viewable for students. I don't know if that makes sense. But one plan I have for the summer is to try to get my video sections worked up so that students have better access to the most important videos. So I have my videos here. And then the publisher has some resources to help practice the material. And so I try to let students know up front that no points are available for the different activities, but they are ways to practice the content if they feel they need more practice. Some of them are really cool activities. So my chapter 1 and my chapter 2 are set up the same way: notes, videos, and then practice material and resources. And then to close out the module, I have an area for complete, and I try to put all of the work there that'll be due on the due date for that module. Okay. And so as you can see, module 2 is set up exactly the same way, where there's an explanation of what we're covering, a study guide. I tried to break down the chapters so students, you know, can see what we're covering and what the resources are, and then a complete section. And if I go down, I have module 3 set up the same way, module 4, 5, and 6, they're all very similar. And then at the very end, I actually got this idea from one of the presenters at the NFI, the New Faculty Institute. It was one of the instructors, I think, in construction science, who I think Leanne did this too. He had linked all these many resources for students so they could easily access them through his class. So I tried to do the same thing here. And when I'm going over the class with students, I let them know about the bus passes, disability support services, all the wonderful options that are here, the e-pantry. That way they have easy access, scholarships, writing center, just a lot of great resources. And one more thing I thought I would show you, as far as the videos go, I'm going to leave student view just for a second. So now you can see all the other hidden things I have. I have a lot because I keep trying to figure out how to best organize. But if I go down to the very bottom, I have resources that I use in the class. So I've linked different videos here. So for example, if I were to take, let's say, chapter 7. So this is probably not, I mean, this needs to be cleaned up. This is just something I access. Maybe that's not the best one. Let me grab one more. Maybe module 4 has more. So this is what I wanted to show you. So I imagine you can see just what I'm seeing. So the sign in. So I am able to embed videos where you can see the, a part of the video link there ready to click. And I can do that with the streaming services here at MCC. But when I log in from home, what I see is that I need to log in with my username and password. And that's fine. But it's not exactly what I want students to see. And so that's why I have shied away from linking films from the streaming services under my video resources in the modules, because I couldn't get it to appear in the way I was hoping it would appear. And so I guess that's one of the things I still want to work out. I have a lot of videos that I think are really wonderful, but they don't show up quite the way I was hoping.
Yeah. Hi, Sam. It's David. That's just kind of based on our IT1 login kind of thing, right? Like that's, if you're on campus and you log in once, then, you're pretty much good to go. Your ID goes everywhere. But when you're at home, that's not a campus computer, right? So then it times out. Ways that we could maybe get around that is, one, put some direction in, say, hey, look, you're going to be presented with a screen where you're going to have to log in. The other thing we can do is we might be able to do a screen grab and put a icon, so it's like click on the thing that looks like a movie, and then it takes you to this, and then the movie would play, so that at least they think there's a movie, and then they're like, oh, I just have to do the login.
Okay. Well, that's helpful, because I just wasn't sure how to navigate that issue exactly.
Yeah, there's just little tricky kind of little design things where you kind of falsely lead them into thinking they're just clicking on a picture, but it's actually, on a movie, but it's actually a picture. And then it just forces this login thing, and then it's not so abrupt for them. Okay.
Well, that's helpful to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You can, any one of us in IDS can help you with that. Canvas support can help you with that probably. So just call us. So it's David or Jessica. We'll help you figure that one out. So it's a little more seamless. I don't think we can get away from the login thing, just because that's just how our campus computer security stuff is set up. But we can make it so that it's not so, abrupt for the students or, unexpected.
Okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, that's educational psychology and psychology are not too far apart, right?
That's right. Yes. So any questions for me or any feedback, things that you see that could make it better? I had not thought a whole lot about accessibility inside of Canvas until NFI. I had thought about accessibility in terms of like Word documents, but I hadn't really thought about it in terms of working within Canvas that much. And so I'm trying to think about that more. So I don't know, any thoughts, questions, or ideas I would welcome.
Hang on a second. So Naomi's in the room. We got just one microphone. She's asking me, and I'm not certain that I have the right answer, but is embedding your Word documents in the Canvas course the best way for accessibility? I think what I would do is, if you want to do that, that's probably okay, but check with the Word accessibility to make sure they're accessible. And another little thing that you could do that would ensure that those that might have accessibility challenges just link the document so they can download it, right? So
Okay.
it's redundant. It's visible for the people that don't have a sighted issue, but the person that may have trouble or the screen reader gets hung up, they can at least get the document and download it.
Okay, so I'm going to go to that part. So for this study guide, for example.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. Well, and the link is right there. See, right above
Okay.
your, so that's, now Naomi's asking, what about the mobile app? I don't know. We'll have to test it. But also remember, see that little A with the down arrow next to the kilobytes thing?
Yes.
That's our accessibility software that allows those folks with accessibility issues to download it in an alternative format.
Oh, okay.
So click on that and you can see the other formats.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So I think you're doing it right. But yeah, we all, I mean, accessibility is something that we're all being much more made aware of these days and really trying to meet the measure to meet those students of ours that have challenges. And as I've mentioned before, oftentimes we have students that have those challenges that don't self-report, right? Because they may be too embarrassed or, you know, it's not that big of a deal for them. They may just have somewhat of a sighted issue, so they don't report. So it's really nice that we've got that additional ally software in there for these other formats.
Yes.
When I, one of the schools I worked at, we had this, and our student athletes would always download the audio version before they took off, you know, on their bus trips or whatever, so they could listen at least to their documents.
Right. I think that's a great idea. Our textbook, I'm not a huge fan of online textbooks myself, but I do love the fact that you can listen to it. And so I encourage students, if they're working out or doing dishes or whatever they're doing, they can listen, which is nice.
Sure. The other thing I liked about just that I noticed in your course was how well organized it was. You know, like you said, your back end has got all your little resources, but I like that you use the indents. I think that helps sort of, you know, lead the students and their eyes, you know, to sort of gives them the headings and then they know where things are. It's just very well organized.
I appreciate that feedback because I had wondered about accessibility with the indents. I didn't know if that, like, if a screen reader would read space, space, space. I didn't know how that might work exactly.
Yeah, the other tip that I give people, and this is one that I learned from one of my colleagues at another institution. So go to just any one of your labels there. And hit the edit button, like you want to edit the label.
Oh, okay, let me.
So I think it's on the 3 dots.
Yes. Oh, I'm going to go down here. Okay.
Yeah. And then put your cursor at the very front of where the chapter is. I usually have people do this at the end, but if you do it in the front, it's fine for this demonstration. So now go put your cursor there and right click.
Okay.
So yeah, just right click.
Okay.
And now see where it says emoji right there? You can put an emoji in these labels. So you can put like an exclamation mark, you can put a happy face, you know, and research has shown that students respond teaching presence wise to emojis, like they feel more present in their courses if there's little cues like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's one of my kind of out of the box. You know, I pull that rabbit out of the hat quite often.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So like if something is due, you might want to just put, you know, a couple of exclamation marks, you know, like maybe the week that it's due so that it catches their eye and then maybe take them away or things like that. Yeah. Very, very clever thing that a friend of mine showed me.
That's a great idea.
Anybody else? How about anybody online have any comments or Isis, you got any comments? No, just watching. Okay. All right. Well, Sam, thanks for showing and
Sure.
being a willing participant, like we've talked about with our faculty. They don't have to be, you know, perfect courses. Everybody's got challenges that they're trying to solve. And we're just trying to, you know, bring that level of awareness across, you know, our faculty and our professors that, you know, you're not alone and here's what other people are doing. And I think sharing is good.
Well, I appreciate the feedback. I always learn something. So thank you.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll turn it over to Al.
Thank you, Sam. It's a hard act to follow. Oh, okay.
Hang on just a second. Here you go.
Thank you.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me okay? I'm seeing nods, so we'll take that as a yes. And I'm going to, if I just share my screen, I'm going to ask the other one to stop sharing. Oh, there we go. And yeah, excuse the old guy. I put my bifocals on. Okay, you should be seeing a source course. This looks like it's showing up here. So yeah, you're a hard act to follow, Sam, but I'm going to go back and apply some of yours to mine. The automotive department does things a little different. We have our online course and a lab course. The students are recommended to take them both at the same time. Or if they fail one part, they can come back and take it out. They struggle, want to improve grade, whatever. But as of next fall, we're all going back to one course of 12 credit hours. And hopefully this will all fold in well together. So in the online course, they have to complete an online component before they come to lab. Now the online component, we have the welcome page, and then the syllabus, and then we always have them take an employment survey. This one isn't worth any points, but we want to know where our students are working, what our class makeup is. Do we teach, you know, more towards the independence dealer? We kind of take a look at that. And then we also look at who's not currently working, and we'll try and hook them up with an employer. So that's the importance of the employment survey. Plus, we have to share that with our advisory committee as part of our accreditation. Then I always have a best practices for completion and activities, grading, policies, items like that. So if they're also stated in the syllabus, but this is just kind of a reminder. Now, I did not switch over to student view because I've got lockstep items in here and it's just clunky. But they would have to view all of these in order. So we have a cap local, it tells them how to log in, and there's a little video that'll play through that. And then next down, they have to make a Subaru login, how to contact our publisher, and how to view their content. We've got the YouTube. Then after all of that, we have a syllabus test. It's worth 2 points before they can view anything else in the course. So this completes the, what's what I'm thinking of? So the participation roster, thank you. Yeah, so first day, we get that out of the way. They participated. They've got 2 points. They're off to a good start. The next step in this particular class is just an overview. It doesn't have a lot of polish on it. I'm going to jump down to the second module. They're all laid out about the same. Everybody has to start at the beginning and go through it. And then here's the instructors folders with the test, instructor notes, lecture notes, anything an instructor would need in the class to present material, etc. is found on the same page and in the order recommended. So all of them have an objective. And the way I've laid them out is, here's what we're going to be able to do when we finish this section, the different items we're looking at. And the task, these are items that the students need to complete that are not graded. And then assessments are things that are graded. Now, I put the time in here of how long they are in hours, minutes, and seconds. So if a student is, you know, I've got 20 minutes, what can I get done? And they can kind of plan out that, you know, for spur of the moment. But more importantly, how long is it going to take me to get through this section? So if they add up all the times, all of these come from vendor time on task. And when that's not supplied, then we just make our best guess of how long it'll take. I can't predict how long it's going to take somebody to read a chapter. So I left those times blank. But this is everything they have to do to complete this next unit. And then if you just click the next button, well, I'm going to go back to modules, get a better view of it here. I was in unit 2. So the next one up would be a reading assignment. And there's a link directly to whatever it is we want them to view, read, interact with. And at this point, it loads itself and the student knows exactly where they're at and can go through the pages, etc. And this is going to be in my way, so I'm going to try and go back here. Yeah. So anything that the student needs to do is in order. They got a reading assignment, and this is the PowerPoint. Yes, it's in the online class, but also included in the for reference in the lecture class as well. So if a student gets sick, has a day off, whatever, they have a way to recover what is in the lecture and what they missed. And then this is a graded item. Everything has due dates. And when you click on that, it'll take you directly to the grading activity. There's no hunting or searching required. On the drop boxes, so this one, yeah, I've got to put a little more instruction on this one. I missed it. I did not catch this. So it's going to take about 1 hour to complete, and they have to go to Subaru, do their login, come back, and then they put something in this Dropbox. Not all of our third-party software allows for direct linking. So we find a way to make it work. So then each one of these items would link out to that. These are all publisher materials. They would link out, and they're 2 or 3 minute videos, etc. The Electude, once again, a third-party item, and this one feeds, all of these feed directly into the grade book. So the instructor doesn't have to really do anything with this section other than make sure their progress is going and make sure they're eligible for lab. So here's a Chrysler item, takes about 1 hour. They would have to go to Chrysler and look this up, and it's done by this number. So once again, those numbers change. So I'm very reluctant to put them in a lot of different places, because as they change, I don't want the instructors to have to go through a lot of where is that. So we try and keep everything on the landing page. And then, yes.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Sure.
I just had a question. What was it?
I was just asking about makeup work for online classes, and I think it's because this is for a lecture lab.
Right. Right. Yes, this is used for online access. I'm sorry, they do the online part before they can go to lab. And we're going to show you the lab class here in a second. So yeah, when we go to the one course is everything, they would have to do these items before they could go to the lab. So makeup work, if it's not done, you don't go to lab. So you come back, hopefully you take your time off, your snow days, etc. Work ahead a little bit, that's always encouraged. But yeah, if they're not prepared for the material in the online class, then we hold them from going to lab. So when they're on campus, brief lecture, and then it's out in the lab to do the things that were assigned that week. Does that answer your question, Isis? No? Okay. You can, yeah, if you could unmute, thank you. We can't hear you. Where's the chat box? Oh, I see. Is the class 100% online? Is there a need for makeup? No, there isn't. We do allow makeup in the lab, but this is a must-have. So no, there isn't time. There is nothing to make up because it stops you from moving forward. So the makeup part, I'm going to close that one. Any questions about the online part first before I move over to the lab, kind of show you how it all works? So in the lab class, they're going to have the same items. They won't have the online items, but they will have things that will help them complete this class. So best practices for success, a whole lot shorter because this is a face-to-face class. And then next up is the diagnostic aids. Now, this is the way I embedded my Word documents, much like Sam did, but each one of these is a Word document, and yeah, I need to clean some of them up. They're just missing headers, but when you open it up, it opens up to a different page, and oops, I go to close. And they can go down through there. They're going to be referencing these items a lot as they go through the course. So I put it up at top where they can get to it. In the, oh, and then the hidden links, if the instructor, instead of bouncing back and forth to the online and class, because we encourage questions, the muddy points, in the lab that weren't clear in the online part. And rather than have the instructor bounce back and forth, they have a direct link here. And there's really not much as far as third-party materials, other than there's some NC3 that's done in here, which is a third-party accreditation. So much like the online, you're going to have a list of items, things you have to do that are not graded, and things that are graded. There's really no way to say how long it's going to take, but each unit typically lasts 1 to 2 weeks. So at the end of that, if it's not done, then we move forward and they have to make an appointment with the instructor to come in and make up lab work in the off time. So we really focus on having students focus on what they, practice what they're learning, apply it when you're here, go back, get ready for the next week. So the first unit is only about a week long. And then the in-class test, IRATs and TRATs. This is an individual test. This is the same test on a team where they get to discuss it. It's worth lower points. because they're working as a team, but it also gives them the time to interact and talk it over in a different learning style, find out what the right answer is. We use scratch offs just like a lottery ticket or something like that. And they have to keep going until they get the right answer. Then at the end of the in-class session, the instructor has that card in front of them and they can see exactly what the muddy points were and go back and cover those. If everybody understands that tires are round and tires are black, mounted on the rims, we're not going to talk about that. But if they don't understand that the manufacturer date is encoded into the serial number on the tire, then that'll surface in this test. And we're going to talk about what they don't understand. So really think of the first test as, did you do your homework and you're studying, what are you bringing to the class? And then what don't you understand? And let's discuss it further. I'm going to skip over this first summary. It's pretty bland. It's just a web page. But I do want to touch on a couple things here. These are VidGrid items. So this one is a quiz. And when a student takes it or views the video, it'll play through and you can see these little dots down here represent where there's a question. So a student will watch this, answer a question, and here's a list of the questions, where the answers are. And then if they get it wrong, it goes back to where they didn't understand it. They don't get a second chance to answer it, but it explains the answer for them. The only downside to VidGrid questions are you have to remember you have to load them every quarter, and you have to load them from the creator's VidGrid portal down here. Now, I don't know if the VidGrid dies with the instructor. Okay, that was so suppose I fall off the face of the earth and somebody needs to access my VidGrid and relink it. Will that be possible?
Yeah, we call that the beer truck scenario. So like,
right.
Beer truck. I think we have ways that we can get the videos out.
Good, good. Yeah, I figured Big Brother was in there somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing. And I like them because they have to pay attention. They have to answer the question, and it is worth points. If it's not worth points, yeah, every researcher I've ever seen, every class I've ever taught, the thing I like about Canvas is you can see where everybody is at and what they did, what they touched, when they went there, etc. And the students that are struggling, it always shows up that they're not reading because we got the reading chapters in there, the links. They're not using the resources. They're only doing the graded items. And yeah, it causes problem. Sure. I'm hoping the sound comes through. My sound's not coming through. Oh, because, yeah. Oh, there we go. It's creating a little bit. So here's the first question that pops up. I'm going to mute myself here. So yeah, then they have to answer it. I don't remember what the answer is. So yeah, actually, this is the square box. It's going to be multiple answers. So all three of these have to be present. But I'm going to click the wrong answer, and you'll see that it marks it wrong, and then it jumps back to that point and goes forward. Yeah. So yeah, they got to pay attention, and I really like that.
And is that linked to your grade book?
Yes, it automatically feeds the grade book. The instructor does nothing other than link the video. And what I've done to make it easy on the instructor is on your assignments page. I'm going to move some windows here. I'm going to minimize that one. It's kind of in the way. So on the assignments page, I've got error traps in here. They're there for a reason. But here's my VidGrid quizzes, and they're named here the same that they are in my VidGrid. So when you import a class to another section, it'll say the instructor hasn't linked a video. So you got one place to go to look for videos, and this links up and we're good to go. Now, a couple things while we're here, you'll notice it's imported assignments. I either put imported assignments, Cengage does that automatically, or I will put error trap keep on bottom. And then at the top, I put error trap keep on top. And the reason is, as you're clicking on things and doing whatever you're doing, as you're rearranging things, if you do something wrong, it'll automatically import it into the assignments page if it's graded. So I've got two places to look, top of the page, bottom of the page. Otherwise, it will go wherever the publisher thinks it should go. So that has proved useful on more than one occasion. And then everything in here, if it's grayed out, that means it's probably in a, this was during the COVID time. So I didn't take them out because I'm just not convinced we were out of the woods yet. But the rest of them, I group them all together. If I want to look at the team test, the individual test, the weekly reports. Anyway, I'll go back to modules. Setting all those up are really crucial. Now there's my a weekly report. So in between weekly reports, so there's week 1, and then week 2, a week later, this is everything I should be doing in the lab. And it's also matches what's in the online part. So if you work from the top down, everything's fine. And I want to jump down. These are kind of boring, but I want to show you one we do later on. So here's a Dropbox. This is what students need to submit. And I always send these out to the copy center. We put them in a spiral binder so the students don't have to print them out. But if they forgot one, dog ate it, left it in the car, whatever, they can print it out here, and the instructor can print out the student version as well. And once again, we're missing the headers on the accessibility part. But it tells you what you should be submitting, the due date, and the exact criteria for the assignment. So there's no gray area. And I got to be careful so I don't go too far back. Now, the instructor is looking at these things. I'm just going to open up the instructor version. So everything in red is not on the student's version. So a student comes up and they're doing this sheet. Well, first of all, what do I need for the class? As the instructor or the student, I'm going to have these things close by in order to complete this task. Then we go down, and yeah, the header's there, but this is the instructor. But the instructor the student comes up and says, you know, I need a stop sign signed off. Let me, so here's a stop sign. Students can't go past the stop sign or they lose the points. Then the instructor stamps it. We've got rubber stamps made up because some students like to scribble the instructor's name and yeah, you signed it. No, you didn't. Yeah, that's why we had rubber stamps made up. Oh, if you can think of a way to cheat, yeah, don't try and cheat them or don't try and beat them at it. They've got way too much practice. So we stamp it here and it comes up and I'm ready for a stamp. So there's a lot of questions there. I don't have time to look them up. So if I don't have the answer in front of me, the student's going to go, yeah, this is the way you answered it. And you said it was okay. The instructor goes in and anything that's in red, they know what the answer is. There's nothing they have to look up because this student's on this page and this one's on that page, and it stops a lot of confusion. And I keep those right below the drop box. So this is where we're at the course. This is where the student is. Student comes up, he's working on this. This is the one I need to look at. I don't have to hunt around for a lot of things. Now, the next thing is the ASE tracker. This is a accreditation document. Students have to have a way to share how they performed on an objective that's designated by ASE, and the instructor gives them a rating of 1 to 5. 1 with serious concerns. Most likely the student didn't attempt it or was sick that day, whatever. And then 4 is proficient. You're going to have to watch him a little bit, but he's okay to kind of be on his own a little bit. 5, you can leave him alone. He's practiced it a lot. He can do it. I'm sorry, when I say he, we do have females too, so I'm not excluding them. That's student, okay? Now, the nice thing about this is there's no grade. There's no points in here. So they can print this out and share it. And what it looks like from the instructor's view is they just click on the rubric 1 through 5 after they have submitted the outcome, and all the student has to do is write done on there, and that puts it on our menu to be graded. So once again, just an awareness piece, puts it on the instructor's radar, students on track, we fill this out. Now, the really nice thing, and I can't show you this without students in the class, but what we can do is we go over to the People tab, and we've got, if we had a student in there, and I'm reluctant to show you a class, but anyway, we click on the people, their name shows up here, we click on them, on that person, and then another menu pops up to track the outcomes. And that goes program-wide, not just the class. So if a student is struggling in this class, what were the things leading up to how do I make the cup of coffee? Well, this is all about making the coffee. Where in the program we teach coffee filters in coffee filter 1. Well, as long as that outcome is filled out, I can go back and see how the student did on a scale of 1 to 5. And I don't have to go into any courses, and they can print that out also.
So you're using the outcomes in Canvas.
So Al,
Yes.
as an instructor, do you ever check the outcomes before you teach?
The only person that can put the outcomes in is the online lead. And if they're all set up right, I'm going to, this is easier explained when you're looking at the document. So here's,
it's okay.
no, because that is an important question. So it's defined in here. Here's my ASE objectives. So this is our accreditation,
Right.
and these are the items that show up in the student tracker. So yeah, it's built into the lab sheet. And if I want to do these things, we also have to have what's called a crosswalk. There's 416 of these items in our program, and we have to show where each one of them is taught. And during our accreditation, we have to provide evidence that it has been taught. So we take a student's submission, delete all the student information, and then does this item, this task that we say we're teaching. I'm just going to pick one. Diagnose emissions and drivability concerns caused by the catalytic converter. And that's
Right.
The
That could
E6
be, that
shift.
could be just a question on a test, or it could be one of the, one of the lab objectives.
But it should be in here somewhere.
Right.
And if you have to complete the whole document, then you can see it's quite lengthy.
Sure.
If it's done at a stop sign, I'm trying to find one. And I think this particular one, there's not many, but this is everything I would need to teach that objective.
Sure.
And then down at the bottom, we've got some basic understanding. When they're done, did they learn what we want? And yeah, this one doesn't have any listed. So at the end of this, they would have to do this entire sheet to get credit for all of them.
I gotcha. Click on the chat. I think Isis had another question in there.
Yes, right. I have to create a website building video for my class. I haven't found one yet online that includes everything I think students need. Yeah, that is a challenge. The VidGrid works pretty nice, plus it keeps them engaged, but there's other things that we need to link out to. So here's one way I found around it. So I'm going to go back to this unit 2 again. And we've done the Dropbox. We've done the instructor resource. We've done this. So here's the test that we're going to have in class this week. Every section has one where I have a summary. What is now the student view of this looks a little different. But once again, the lockstep is keeping me out. So what this is a summary of what went on in the classroom, the lectures, the online, all of that. And we talk about these are the main takeaways. And then we can embed videos in there that they can play and kind of recap the week. Now on their end, right here where it says preview, this is going to be a take quiz button. And you'll see it's 0 points and it's practice. But the questions in there are similar to what's on the test in class. So they can recap and practice. And I've got it set up so they can review the answers one time and then it goes away. So they're going to cheat, okay? So we reword the questions a little bit so it changes the answer, and there may be 15 questions, but it's going to, I've got it set up to only pull 5 questions out of the question bank. And then these questions are just a little different than the actual test. So they don't get the whole test, but they see their weak areas. And that has helped a lot. When students come to the end of the week and they're ready for the test, the ones that do well on the test are the ones that have looked at the summary. And then after the summary, okay, what's really going to be on the test? Once again, study notes, be able to calculate problems using Ohm's law. I think I need some help with that. We've got Friday iBest instructors, and I'm struggling with this. So this was actually taught in Auto 1, and we're in Auto 6. Do we have time to recapture everything about Ohm's law? No, but the study group does on Friday. So you might want to attend that. And then we also have other documents we can help them with. We don't tell them go away. We give them the resources, but here's what they should be able to do when they come to class and prepare them for the test. And when we see students that struggle, when we go back and look at the student and look at their fingerprint, we'll see that they haven't done the items that don't have points to them. But every one of them follows the same format. Every week follows the same format. And then because this is such a hard subject and we can't, it's hard to do an individual assessment. So at the end, we have finals. We spend 4 days of finals, and students don't see this until they actually get out into the lab. We unlock it then, but they'll have a problem in a car, and this is what they have to submit. And they're graded accordingly. This is just a test on the ASE. This is a third-party test done at the testing center. So if we look at, this one will have one. Okay, this is a timed hands-on final. This is the concern, and this is what they have to submit. And I've got the rubric hidden somewhere else so they can't see what they're actually being judged on, but the judge has a paper copy that they just check boxes off. Did they touch this? Did they do this? Did they look at that? And they're yes or no, and then the rubric populates it accordingly. We import the rubric after everybody has taken the test. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I know that's a lot, but more than glad to field any questions.
Doing so many things at once, right? For students, things they have to do, things they have to practice and learn from, but you're also a resource for faculty. It standardizes instruction across the a lot. It does a lot.
Yeah. And there's a lot too. The automotive trade, it changes every year with every new model. So keeping things updated is a challenge. So if I'm looking for something, I want one place to go. I don't want to have to hunt down 100 documents. And where did I hide this? You know, you get to my age, you get to hide your own Easter eggs. So it's easier if I could just put all my eggs in the same box. Oh, no problem. Thank you for staying awake during that.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Isis, you can reach out if you have other questions. Feel free to reach out to Naomi, myself, or Jessica, and we'd be happy to work with you or answer any of the additional questions that you might have had. I know we had a little trouble today with some of the being able to do audio back and forth, but again, thanks for attending. We're going to continue this series. This will keep going. So keep watching what Naomi sends out for when the next event is. Awesome. Thank you.